Are you ready to lose weight and feel better than you've ever felt in your life? I, the Minister of Wellness, am offering an incredible 50% discount code on my Lose 100 Pounds in 100 Days book, which contains the exact meal plan that has helped thousands of our people achieve amazing results. Take advantage before this offer ends by visiting theministerofwellness.com and use the promo code NEWYOU22.
The Lagos Ibadan train project is housed in towering new structure in Alagomeji, a Lagos suburb. This structure is possibly the most apparent manifestation of the highly publicized and hostile China-Nigeria relationship. The train journey from Alagomeji in Lagos to Ibadan in Oyo State is smooth, bearing any anticipated issues. When viewed in isolation, this project has excellent infrastructure. On paper, the train line, which runs from Lagos to Abeokuta and then to Ibadan, helps relieve pressure on the already overburdened Lagos-Ibadan expressway and provides a viable alternative for residents and visitors hoping to avoid the city's notorious traffic congestion. However, this new train line is mostly unavailable to the general public and does not operate in the manner that public utilities are supposed to. The Lagos-Ibadan train line is the latest in a long line of disconnected infrastructure projects undertaken on the African continent by Chinese companies and supported by the Chinese government through its generous loans. Now, despite the Nigeria's government's promotion of the train line's performance as demonstrating the country's infrastructure development potential, there is a pervasive sense of inaccessibility. The two train stations in Ibadan are largely unreachable by car outside of Lagos, where the train route stops. Customers of the train system have also complained that they have been unable to leave the train station except thanks to the goodwill of the workers of China's civil engineering construction company and their off-road capable project vehicles. Worse, train tickets are twice as expensive as road tickets. Now, from a purely financial standpoint, there is no motivation to use the trains in Nigeria, where the economic picture is becoming increasingly bleak. The train line, which is mostly supported by a Chinese loan, is one of the many infrastructure projects that China has backed as part of its Belt and Road Initiative. The Belt and Road Initiative started with a $1 billion infrastructure development fund to assist build roads and other supporting facilities on the African continent in order to boost trade. To this purpose, there are apparently over 10,000 Chinese-owned businesses and infrastructure enterprises active in Africa, with a combined value of $2 trillion as of 2017. Chinese companies obtained roughly half of all engineering, construction, and procurement contracts, accounted for a fifth of more than $100 billion in pledges and promises for infrastructure and related development that following year. China is accused of risky commercial practices, including trapping developing countries in debt traps. However, there are far more in-depth discussions concerning Chinese investment and loans on the African continent. As it seeks new relationships around the world, China has positioned itself as a growth accelerator through infrastructure. This, combined with the lack of economic knowledge on the part of African leaders, has resulted in a number of accords that appear to be good ideas at first glance, but reveal serious problems upon closer examination. The measures for good governance in African countries are a big part of the problem. Politicians in countries with bad roads and bad power supply campaign on infrastructure projects rather than policies that will improve the governance. As a result, through its loans, China is assisting a very mediocre government in maintaining power, leaving future African leaders and citizens to deal with the problem and the probable economic consequences as such bad ideas. Now, the Lagos-Ibadan train line is a rehash of previous infrastructure initiatives. It used to be feasible to travel by train from Lagos to Kaduna. In the political and electoral process, romanticized concept of old Nigeria have been talking themes. The former Lagos-Kaduna rail route has been replaced by the Lagos-Ibadan train line. However, this is not the first time that China has supported incomplete or useless infrastructure on the continent. China has paid payments to African politicians they have been pursuing as deal sweeteners. These bribes have come in the guise of vanity projects for Uganda and Mozambique leaders, such as multi-million-dollar office buildings. These initiatives are useless, and the high expenditure will be passed on to future African generations. These infrastructure projects are being hailed as major achievements in Africa-China relationships. However, the economic of infrastructure development imply that local people are not served. Infrastructure expenditure is a means for government throughout the world to put money back to the hands of residents by creating new employment while still providing essential infrastructure for their communities. To this purpose, local businesses are hired and money is injected into the economy throughout the value chain. However, like previous China-funded projects in Africa, the Lagos-Ibadan rail route sends money back to the hands of Chinese construction companies. Chinese corporations have been accused of abusing labor rules, ranging from work pay to work hour inflations by bringing in their own talent and workers from China, as well as importing raw goods from China. China's Belt and Road initiatives has recently been linked to the African continent's free trade area by the Chinese government. China is currently the largest and most prominent trade partner in sub-Saharan Africa. The African continent free trade area currently being battled with the Belt and Road initiative, which is problematic on multiple levels. China's Belt and Road initiative is aimed at marketing infrastructure development as a means of facilitating trade in the New World, which Beijing wishes to continue collaborating. However, the African continent free trade area is a relatively underdeveloped policy in its current form. The African continent free trade area, at its best, is aspirational in terms of Pan-Africanist goals. Everyone agreed to something without establishing trade norms. The infrastructure component of the trade agreement piqued everyone's interest, but no one looked into the long-term implications. Africa has a difficulty with the trade and trade mechanisms. African countries may be able to reap the benefit of the African continental's free trade area ahead of China if they focus on improving trade partnership and establishing cooperative advantages in local industries. The African continental free trade area in its current form does not go far enough to assist African countries in developing the capability needed to industrialize and the formation of a middle class. Liberalizing all African economies as well as allowing Chinese enterprise to take over local production in African countries brings more harm than good to the continent's already fragile economies. Now, protectionism, while contrary to the spirit of the African continent's free trade area, is exactly what numerous African countries require right now. especially given the need to rebuild capacity and knowledge while fostering the growth of small and medium-sized businesses and industries. It is critical to investigate this trajectory of Nigeria-China relationship, and actually many African countries that pattern with China, if not all. Notably, the partnership's secrecy. Nigeria has significant trade deficit with China due to the nature of African market, where primary goods dominate exports. Africa's trade imbalance with China was over $17 billion in 2019. Africa's economic dependence has shifted from its former colonial partners to China as a result of this deficit. The Nigeria train service has been rebuilt, according to casual observers, thanks to the Nigeria-China relationship. Yes, kudos to that. The old Ebut Meta train junction, which is home to the Ido-Ijoko line, is just a few hundred meters away from the new building created for the new Lagos-Ibadan train line. The vintage trains, which are all at least 40 years old, are still in use. Nothing has changed for the Ido-Ijoko line customers. The trains are the same old trains packed to the grills with passengers who stand for the nearly 2-hour voyage, occasionally daggering from the door to the roof. No one takes the rail from Lagos to Ibadan. It is simply to travel by load. Very simple that way. It is less expensive. This has been remarked by lots of tradesmen. So if the government really intended to improve people's lives, they should make Lagos work by rail to alleviate traffic congestions. Ido to Ijoko is a money maker. People always stand since the trains are always full and there are no space. Nigerians are now waiting to see if the government will provide any subsidies for the Lagos-Ibadan train route, which would result in even more money being poured into an unworkable project. People in Lagos are questioning China's long-term objectives in Nigeria and the African continent as a whole. But perhaps you might be able to assist with the answer. Please let me know in the comment section. What do you think? What do you think about the inactive projects that are either way still carried on in the African continent and still be approved by the politicians? All of that stuff. My name is Osie The Born Child, and thank you so much for watching. I'll be seeing you in another video, dear brothers and sisters. Until next time, please take care.
Colonization never ended in the white supremacist system. And as we see today, the colonization is in the mind. Now, those who have been enslaved and those who have been colonized, we're still dealing with the remnants of that through the colonization of the mind. Pick up my book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, and we will help deprogram you from the colonization that was put upon you by generations and generations of white supremacy. You can pick it up today on Amazon.com.